At it again, and I came across this clip that I want to share with you guys because I do feel like a lot of people feel the exact way that this gentleman feels, and I've seen a lot of these different stories where people have gone from being an absolute Trump hater to actually taking the time to look into who this guy really is, what he's all about, and then they realize, oh, Trump isn't who I thought he was. As a matter of fact, I was one of those individuals. Right? And you guys have seen that journey play out right here on this channel. So whenever I come across these, it's always great to see. But here is one that I came across recently. Let's dive in.
Ended up just seeing him for who he is, being just a flawed individual. And part of that had to do about how I used to kind of despise Trump and how I ended up just seeing him for who he is, being just a flawed individual. And part of that had to do with the good people on both sides lie that was perpetuated by the media. For many years, I was a Democrat. I was someone who would watch the mainstream news and felt like I was being informed. But then I became curious about Donald Trump as I was talking to more and more people about him. And that's when I came across the good people on both sides accusation as being an actual lie or misrepresentation of what he stated. And when I watched in full context, where he was basically putting down the neo-Nazis and the white supremacists who showed up with tiki torches, I realized that the media purposefully misframed what he was stating. And he was actually relatively clear as far as who he was talking about was good. The people who were protesting for and against the statue being up of Robert E. Lee. And he was even more specific as far as the people who weren't violent, who were protesting on both sides of the matter. So I realized at that moment, if the media can lie to me about this for years upon years, claiming that he said something that he clearly didn't say, and if you just extended that footage about 30 seconds or so, you would see it, then what else are they lying to me about? And that's what led me to become more independent-minded, eventually leaving the Democratic Party to become an independent and just asking questions about the media that we consume and bipartisan curiosity. Am I making determinations politically because of how I feel, or is it because of what is true? By how I feel, who is making me feel this way? Is someone propagandizing me, trying to manipulate my emotions into feeling a particular way about someone, regardless if it's someone on the left or right? I became very conscious of my emotions and very conscious of any sort of manipulation attempt to get me to sway in one direction or another for political gain. I also considered, when it comes to Donald Trump, if he is evil, then why lie about him? Because someone who's truly evil, you just tell the truth about them. The truth says everything. So is he really that evil? Is he someone that you can disagree with? I have disagreements about him. Is he someone that you have to love? You don't have to love him in order to vote for him. Is he someone that's flawed? Absolutely, he is flawed. But is he evil? Is he the next Hitler? Is he someone who's going to bring the end to democracy as we know it? That's categorically false. I see no evidence for it. And the 4 years that he was in office, I see no evidence for it. So I am very much so a pragmatic voter, someone who is.
I love what he said there, because I think a lot of people forget Trump was already president once before. So this whole talk of Trump's going to be a dictator, Trump's going to be a dictator, oh my goodness. Well, dictators don't leave office. Ask Putin. Right? Dictators don't walk out of office. Trump could have said, hey, you're going to have to drag me out of here, a cold, dead corpse, before I leave this White House. Because dictators don't leave office. Look at what Putin did. They had an election, right? Russia used to have fair elections. Putin won one, and he decided, you know what? I'm staying. You're going to have to drag me out here, a cold, dead body. Try it. Trump could have said that. He could have done that. He didn't. Well, Trump, he fought it. Of course he did. So have Democrats in the past. But at the end of the day, when it came time for Trump to leave, and this is the bottom line, because Democrats try to get into the weeds. Well, Trump did this and Trump did that. He fought this, he fought that. At the end of the day, the bottom line is, when it came time to leave, what did Trump do? He left. He left. Dictators don't leave. Come on now. Like that's just common sense, but of course common sense is no longer common. But I also want to play this clip because at the Al Smith dinner, I'm sure you guys probably remember, Chuck Schumer was actually seated pretty close to Donald Trump. There was only like one seat in between them. And you know what happened? You know, for a guy that they always claim is the biggest threat to democracy and he's going to destroy the world and he's going to take us into World War III and he's going to lock up every single Democrat, which there are a lot of Democrat politicians that need to be locked up, and I'm sure he'll do that. Why would Chuck Schumer be doing this? I'm gonna stop that music, okay? But does this look like a guy that's a complete threat to democracy and like the biggest threat ever known to man? You know, Chuck Schumer's just casually having a conversation with him. The current Senate Majority Leader, Democrat Senate Leader, Chuck Schumer, just casually having a conversation with him, just chit-chatting and jaw-jacking, right? Does this look like a guy that's truly a threat? Highly doubt it. Highly doubt it.
Is about to resume.
Highly doubt it. Okay, so that whole narrative is out the window. And some of you might be asking, well, why is Trump having a conversation with Chuck Schumer? Well, one, you can't. Well, this is the thing. You can't show your hand. That's one, right? So of course he's not going to go after Chuck Schumer while he's sitting next to him. Like that just doesn't even make sense. Even somebody like me, because like I said, I always like to put myself in other people's shoes. And if I were Trump, I would have a conversation with Chuck Schumer. I would. Do I like Chuck Schumer? No. If anything, just to pick his brains, just to see where he's at, see what's going on, see if I can get, just even a tidbit of information out of him. But check out this clip of Trump. Well, it wasn't Trump. But the question he got asked was pretty telling on who Trump actually is.
Nelson Mandela and 80 of his constituents were trying to come to the United States.
Yeah.
The United States government wasn't helping him. No one was helping him. You chartered a 727 plane for their entire trip.
Yeah.
How is somebody, and it's crazy because you can talk about anything, and why is it hard for you to talk about the things you've done? It runs in your family. Your father helped build a synagogue. I mean, why do we not know those things?
It's something that I love doing it. I don't need praise for it. I don't, we all like a certain level of praise, but I just like helping people. I help a lot of people, and I enjoy doing it, and I never talk about it. It's nice that you bring it up. I also think it's not a narrative that the press likes talking about, for me.
But I think it would help a lot of the American people who have been misled, I myself included. Now listen, I'm voting for you now because of the man you are, not just because of the policies. Because not every American will get the opportunity that I had to saw who you were backstage. And that's why I have this list. I mean, I have testimonials. We can't go through all because
I want to see them.
Now this was I had to dig deep.
I like that.
You donated $100,000 to raise dogs. You're not even a dog guy.
The part of Trump that nobody talks about in the media. Nobody talks about how charitable he actually is, how nice of a person he truly is, right? I mean, like, this is the guy that they want us to hate. This guy right here.
That whether we are black or brown or white, we all bleed the same red blood of patriots.
This is the guy that they call a big bad boogeyman, a racist. That's the guy. That's the guy, right? Like, just the lies that they spew about this man are just numerous. But that is why I think a lot of people, and now you saw it in, I forgot the where it came from, but there was a statistic that came out that said more people identify as being Republican than Democrat. And that hasn't been the case in quite a while. As a matter of fact, typically according to, is that CNN? I think it was. According to CNN, I believe it is, when Republicans win, it's typically Democrats +3 in terms of party identification. When Republicans lose, it's Democrats like +5 or 6. Right now, it's Republicans +1. So if Republicans typically lose when it's Democrat +3 in terms of party identification, and right now it's Republican +1, I think that says a lot, especially considering who is the leader of the Republican Party. But I also think that is because people realize that what they have been saying about this man has been absolute lies through and through. Like with the tariffs. How they tried to say, well, tariffs are going to absolutely destroy the economy. No, they aren't. No, they aren't.
If politics were a video game and the president were a character you could play, tariffs would be your most powerful economic move. So what's a tariff? Basically a tax any business has to pay to bring goods into a country. The USA is uniquely a reasonably big country with a huge consumer class by global standards. So most every sizable company in the world needs to sell here. The argument against tariffs is that they just tax the U.S. consumer. If you say I have to pay $100 to bring my $100 widget over from China, I'll just charge $200 for it. But it doesn't always work that way. What tariffs can also do is encourage companies to avoid the extra charge by making things here in the U.S., or they can level the playing field for U.S. manufacturers who are getting crushed by cheap imports. So you can't just swallow these headlines that claim tariffs are just a tax on U.S. consumers. If tariffs always dramatically raise prices for consumers, why didn't that happen in 2018 and 2019? The truth is that the U.S. has been so focused on making it easy to import goods from other countries that we've made it reflexive for other countries to tariff U.S. products while we let overseas goods flood in, and tariffs can't stop that, Joe.
Well, that was fantastic, John. Thank you.
Yeah, so tariffs would actually be a great thing for the American economy because it would force people to come to the negotiating table, or they can't sell their products here in America, and we'll make it here in America with American labor, American workers who could use jobs, right? So the whole narrative that, oh no, tariffs are going to be bad, it's BS. Another case, another situation where they lied. The bloodbath hoax. You guys remember that? You guys remember when Trump was actually talking about the auto industry? And if you don't, here, check it out.
Mexico has taken over a period of 30 years, 34% of the automobile manufacturing business in our country. Think of it. Went to Mexico. China now is building a couple of massive plants where they're going to build the cars in Mexico and they think that they're going to sell those cars into the United States with no tax at the border. Let me tell you something to China. If you're listening, President Xi, and you and I are friends, but he understands the way I deal, those big monster car manufacturing plants that you're building in Mexico right now, and you think you're going to get that, you're going to not hire Americans, and you're going to sell the cars to us now, we're going to put a 100% tariff on every single car that comes across the line. And you're not going to be able to sell those cars. If I get elected, now if I don't get elected, it's going to be a bloodbath for the whole, that's going to be the least of it. It's going to be a bloodbath for the country. That'll be the least of it. But they're not going to sell those cars. They're building massive factories.
Yeah. And if you don't believe me that they tried to run with the whole bloodbath hoax, check this out. Trump says there will be a bloodbath if he loses the election. Trump says some migrants are not people and predicts a bloodbath if he loses. Trump says there will be a bloodbath. Trump warns of bloodbath for auto. Hey, this one's actually honest. If he loses, Donald Trump warns of bloodbath if he's not elected. One with an honest headline. Just one. That's it. Just one. And that wasn't all of them, right? But I think people have caught on to that. The media and Democrats have dug themselves into a hole that they can't get out of. And that's why you see mainstream media ratings absolutely tanking. The trust in mainstream media absolutely tanking. You walk up to the average American citizen. I think I saw a statistic that almost like I think it was like 30%. 30% of Americans actually somewhat trust in mainstream media. 30%. And that included somewhat trust mainstream media in that 30%. So that means 70% of Americans don't trust mainstream media at all. And whose fault is that? It's nobody's but their own, right? And that is why I think Trump is currently, where we sit today, winning. As a matter of fact, I want to show you guys this. Where did it go? Oh yeah, here we go. So the most accurate pollster, Atlas Intel. This is the popular vote, 2024 popular vote. Look what that says. Holy moly. Holy moly. Trump up +3 in the popular vote? It could be Kamala +3 in the popular vote, and she could still lose in the Electoral College. Like, Democrats need to be like 3+ in order to win the Electoral College in terms of the popular vote. So if this is accurate, and this is the most accurate pollster, if this is accurate, like in 2024, Trump +3, it's going to be an ugly Electoral College outlook for Kamala. Come election night, it's going to be an early night. We going to see some fireworks. Ooh, baby. Ooh, man. Listen, if that is true, by 11 or 12 o'clock that night, the election is over. The election is over. Because we will have had enough results come in by 11, 12 o'clock that night to give it to Trump. Doesn't matter what the rest of the states do. Doesn't matter if they all went for Kamala, right? If that is real, if that is accurate, and I believe it is, now, we still got to show up and do our part, right? Vote early. Hey, listen, we have been doing some work with the vote, with the early vote. I've been seeing some good numbers. As a matter of fact, great numbers. Numbers where we're outnumbering Democrats in early voting in some places, which is just crazy. Crazy. If we're outnumbering Democrats in the early vote, and then we still show up on the day of too, oh man. We still have that, because Trump always has that day of vote that exceeds expectations. If that still happens too, on top of that, good night. Good night. We celebrating early, baby. We celebrating early. That's going to be a fantastic night. An absolutely fantastic night. But yeah, tell a friend to tell a friend. We got to get Trump back in office. Bring that orange fella back. ASAP. But as always, y'all stay safe out there. Peace and love. I'm out.